We are live. Yes, WrestleMania Backlash has just gone off the air on the WWE Network. It was, to be honest, I'll give WWE credit. To be honest, I'll give WWE a lot of credit. I thought it was a really good show. A really good show. There was obviously one glaring thing that we have to talk about that was absolutely awful. I mean, there's no other way of saying it. We are going to talk about. Don't worry, we're going to talk about the zombies, which need to be talked about because I've got already. I mean, it's difficult to tweet. To be honest, when you're doing a watch along, a live stream, sometimes it can be quite difficult to tweet and kind of give your thoughts there, because you're giving your thoughts to the people that are watching on the watch along, and you've got to watch what's going on. You've got to read live comments. You've also got to make sure you keep talking. So it's difficult to be tweeting at that period of time. But I did do a tweet about the zombie stuff, and to say that I got some reaction on social media is fascinating. So we will talk about that. But WrestleMania Backlash, of course, just went off the air. It was inside the WWE ThunderDome, inside the Yuengling Center in Tampa Bay, Florida. Looks like it's going to be one of the last pay-per-views inside the WWE ThunderDome. We did get an announcement on tonight's show that next month's pay-per-view will be Hell in a Cell. That looks to be also inside the Yuengling Center, inside the WWE ThunderDome. But after that, July is when WWE are going to be touring regularly once again with fans in attendance. And by that, I mean we're going to have fans actually inside the arena. And it looks like Money in the Bank is going to be the first event that's actually a first pay-per-view event that's going to have fans in attendance. So that is certainly going to be exciting. But what we'll do here on this reaction stream, and I always like to call it like a reaction stream. I don't like to call it reviews. I don't give things stars ratings. I don't give these kind of events ratings out of 10 or anything like that. Like with everything here on the channel, it's just about talking about opinion, expressing opinion, interacting with you guys in the live chat, saying what you thought of the event, what you thought of matches, reading out super chats, that kind of stuff. That's what this channel's all about. It's all about opinion and people voicing their opinions and all that kind of stuff. So overall, we'll start with overall, then we'll go through the matches individually. But overall, on the whole, it was an enjoyable show. It was an enjoyable show. Obviously, the big glaring thing, and the thing that it does deserve to be talked about extensively, the zombie thing. It does to be spoken about extensively. There's no doubt about that, because it was that bad. But I hope it doesn't overshadow what was a good show. I think if you are going to judge it and say, thumbs up, thumbs down, the show would get an overall thumbs up. The only issue would be is that zombie match, which was the shortest match on the show, thank God. I hope that's just because when they were watching it live, they went, my God, this is awful. This is awful. Overall, though, it was a good show. It was a really good show. And WWE pay-per-views, to be honest, for a while now, and I said this during the watch-along, for a while now, WWE pay-per-views have been good for a while. If you look at WWE's roster, nobody's really doubting. Right? No one's really doubting the quality that they have inside of the ring. I don't think anyone's doubting that. I don't think anyone's looking on this on the WWE roster and going, "Oh, they don't have any good workers." They've got really good workers. They do. They've got very good workers on the brands, on all of the brands. So whenever they have these pay-per-views, it's usually very good, because they don't have to do any of the storytelling that they have to do on Monday Night Raw. They can just have matches, and everyone can have great matches in WWE. So that's why pay-per-views like this are always very good, because it's just in-ring action. The reason that Raw and SmackDown are so bad, because that's the creative writers' show. That's where the creative team and the writers and all that kind of stuff, that's where they write their magic. That's where they write their promos, and that's where they do their storytelling. That's why Raw and SmackDown are so terrible to watch, and yet the pay-per-views are very enjoyable to watch, because everyone's very good workers. And especially in this pandemic era, they've kind of got the formula pretty good at this point, haven't they? That these WrestleMania, these pandemic pay-per-views only last under 3 hours. They have 5 or 6 matches. It's the right level of matches, all of it. They've got that right. So overall, like I said, I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good pay-per-view. I thought it went by pretty quickly. The one glaring issue is the zombie issue, which we'll touch on. But overall, it was pretty enjoyable, I think. Cooking and Gaming with Jordan98 says, "Damn it, I'm a fan of Rollins, but he's acting like a stupid B by attacking Cesaro." Devon McKenzie says 1. Donald Music Reacts says Damian Priest deserves better, and they are promoting Batista new film on Netflix. They promoted that film about 10 million times during the thing. Tavon says, "Hey, what's up? How you doing, Tavon?" Desmond Allen says, "I didn't really care for it. Was a replay not needed? Really not needed." Noob & Co says, "Hello, everyone. How you doing, Noob? Thanks for joining us." Cooking with Gaming with Jordan says, "Why the F did Rollins attack Cesaro? Because he's a heel, damn it. That's what heels do." Double H says, "When are you coming back on the United Stand?" Whenever they ask me, Double H. GG Match says, "Oof, when I got notified of this post, the title spoiled the end before I got to watch it when I got home." Oh, I'm sorry, GG Matt, but I mean, unfortunately, that's what these kind of streams will do. If it wasn't me, it would be Fightful, or it would be Cultaholic. That's kind of the nature of the beast, unfortunately, on social media, isn't it? Desmond Allen says, "That's why Raw is so bad and SmackDown is good. If you really watch the show and pay attention, they have a good show from time to time." So let's get into the matches. Of course, if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe. Bottom right-hand corner, smash a like on the like button as well if you enjoyed WrestleMania Backlash. And, of course, Super Chats are open. You can contribute to the channel by clicking the $sign. Any contributions or donations are very much appreciative. So before we get to the matches on the main card, there was a match on the kickoff show, which was an open challenge by Sheamus. Now, Sheamus did an open challenge. It wasn't for the United States Championship. It wasn't for the United States Championship. Sheamus is kind of doing a play on the whole mid-card open challenge kind of thing, but he's saying to everyone, "You can have an open challenge, you can face me, but it's not for the championship. I'm not giving you an open opportunity for the championship." So he's doing these open challenges against guys that he's trying to. I guess behind the scenes you could say that maybe they're trying to elevate, whether it's Humberto to Carrillo, whether it's Mansoor, and tonight it was Ricochet. Went about 7 minutes. The match was largely Sheamus dominating. I wasn't a fan. I didn't mind the match. Ricochet came out in jeans and all that because I guess that they tried to play up that Sheamus, that Ricochet wasn't prepared or anything like that. So they came out. The match was fine. It was the post-match I really didn't care for. And like I said, this is when it comes into, felt like an episode of Monday Night Raw. The match in the ring's fine. They're both very good workers. Match in the ring, nothing to complain about. The one thing to complain about, though, is what happens after the match. So Sheamus gets the victory, goes for a bro kick, misses, but he hits a version of a bro kick in that it's almost like a V-trigger knee to the head of Ricochet, gets the victory. Sheamus wins. He's the United States champion. He should win that match. After the match, Sheamus gets the microphone and he's going to put on his jacket and his hat, that weird attire that he wears, and he's going to put it on. And then Ricochet attacks him from behind, puts on the hat, puts on the jacket, and suddenly he's dancing around and doing all this kind of stuff. And Sheamus tries to go after him. Ricochet leaves, and he gets one up on the heel, I guess, and they play the music like Ricochet won the match. Where is the logic in that? I mean, seriously, where is the logic there? Ricochet lost. He acts like a heel by acting, spoilt after the match by trying to steal someone else's attire. I just didn't get it. I just don't get that kind of stuff. And it's that kind of stuff that you see on Raw every single week, and you watch it, you go, that's so illogical. There is no logic in there. Surely the best thing to do would have Sheamus wins, he gets the microphone, talks some trash, then he leaves. You could say, what does that do for Ricochet? But what does that outcome do for Ricochet? He still lost. If anything, he looks like an even bigger idiot because he lost and he's celebrating it by stealing someone's clothes. You lost the match. Wins and losses, I know, don't matter in WWE, but they should. That's the whole point of pro wrestling, that you aim to win. The winner gets the most money, gets the lion's share of the purse, right? That's how it works. It was just stupid, illogical, doesn't make any sense. So I didn't care for that part of it. Anyway, let's move on to the matches on the main card. Let's talk about the Raw Women's Championship. And it was an opening match of the show, triple threat match for the WWE Raw Women's Championship. Rhea Ripley defeated Asuka and Charlotte Flair to retain the Raw Women's Championship. Really enjoyed this one, and to be honest, the Raw side of things on this show had two triple threat matches for their major male and female championships. They had obviously the WWE Championship triple threat, which we will get onto later, and we also had the Raw Women's Championship main event. Now, obviously, or triple threat rather, the concern going into this was possibly Charlotte Flair could win this match, and I had actually predicted that Charlotte Flair would win, maybe more so out of like morbid curiosity, in the sense that I was a little bit like, Oof. I just want to see social media. I want to see social media explode. I want to see social media explode because that would be funny. We'll check the live chat. Double H says we share the same interest, WWE and United. I appreciate that. Noob & Co says, I'm enjoying watching the pay-per-view. Open match is great. Other matches, great, minus the zombie lumberjack match. Well, we'll touch on that in a second. Cooking and Gaming with Jordan98 says, I hope Brock Lesnar takes the title from Roman. It might be something that they look to do some point down the line. Who knows? Desmond Allen says they might be turning him as a heel now or a potential feud. Right, so this Raw Women's Championship triple threat match. Again, really enjoyed it. I thought the pacing was fantastic, and it was kind of... I don't want to lump these two triple threat matches in together, the Raw Women's Championship one and the WWE Championship one, because they were distinct and they had their own unique identity. But what I will say is I think that both had a real frenetic pace to them. And you can do that in these multi-people matches, right? You can kind of, in the sense that in certain matches you might have to do rest spots, you might have to do spots where you come down and then go back up and all that kind of stuff. Because you can sort of rotate a person in and out of all of these spots, you can do some stuff that's quite interesting, can't you? So basically, they got to the finish where Charlotte Flair was on the apron. This was a bit confusing. So Charlotte Flair was on the apron. Rhea Ripley manages to knock her off in the sense, and that leads to Rhea Ripley then hitting the Riptide on Asuka and getting the victory in that sense. Again, I thought the match was a great opener for the show. Really enjoyable opener for the show. Again, had a really good pace about it, and I think it's the right outcome. There was a concern for me heading into this one, like I said, that they would put the title on Charlotte Flair just because they didn't get the opportunity to do so at WrestleMania, because Charlotte Flair, of course, wasn't on the card. So they could obviously have justified it as, well, she wasn't on the card. If she was on the card, she would have won the Raw Women's Championship, so we can get the title back on her. I think what this does, this obviously removes Asuka from the Raw Women's Championship picture. What she does now, I don't know. That would be maybe a slight concern for me, is that this is a star that really helped carry. She carried Monday Night Raw, not just the female side of things, but for the male side of things for a period of time last year as well. But certainly on the female side of things, she carried Monday Night Raw last year. During the pandemic, where nobody else was stepping up to the plate, or just they had stars that were on the shelf, whether it was Becky Lynch, Ronda Rousey, Charlotte Flair, they all were missing time last year, and it was Asuka that was carrying that brand. And it feels like now she's been cycled out of that Raw Women's Championship picture. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe that's a bad thing. I don't know. I don't know what the case is for her. We'll have to wait and see. But it looks like Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair isn't over, because afterwards Charlotte Flair on the outside cut a figure that was frustrated. She keeps muttering to herself 14 times that she wants to be the 14-time champion. Rhea Ripley was kind of rubbing it in her face, doing all this kind of like stuff and going na 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 na. And I'm watching that. I'm like, oh, are you 4 years old? I mean, oh my God, like. Really? If Rhea Ripley is being told to do that, by the creative team or by Vince McMahon of going like this and going na 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 na, oh my God, like that is just the worst thing ever. Of that's your creative team. Some of these people get paid to write this stuff. Na 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 na. Oh my God, I was watching that, like, seriously? You've got someone who's got an unbelievable look, this badass look of Rhea Ripley. Not many people look like her, and she's still incredibly young, still an incredibly unique talent. Physically is different than the other talents on the roster. So you've got this really unique personality, this unique look, unique presentation, kind of a bit of sort of I don't want to say gothic, but sort of heavy metal kind of rocking kind of look, image. And what do? The real heavy metal of na 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 na. I mean, come on. That's just, it's what? What? Instantly, any form of credibility that she had of people looking at her going, Rhea Ripley, she's pretty cool. What's she doing there? Nah. You go, okay, that's gone. I don't like her anymore. I mean, I know she's meant to be a heel, kind of. But, oh, my God, I was seeing that. I was like, oh, no. But in terms of the match, itself, the match was very enjoyable. And it was a very good opener to the show. And it was the right decision. It looks like the Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair feud's going to continue, though. Does that lead into Hell in a Cell, possibly Money in the Bank, SummerSlam? It's going to be the feud on Raw going forward for the Women's Championship, isn't it? Next was the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. And we have new SmackDown Tag Team Champions as the Mysterios. Rey and Dominik Mysterio defeated the Dirty Dawgs, known as Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, to become the new SmackDown Tag Team Champions. Now, this one was actually really well executed. In the same vein that I'll criticize WWE creative and the bad writing and illogical endings and all this kind of stuff, what I will say what I will say is they got this right. I think most people heading into this felt the Mysterios are going to win. It was obvious. The Mysterios were going to win this one. Everyone expected the Mysterios to win this one. But the way they did it was actually very smart, because they had Ziggler and Roode attack Dominik Mysterio backstage earlier on in the show. So they attacked Dominik Mysterio earlier on in the show backstage, and this set up an element of doubt in the mind of, well, maybe they don't switch the titles tonight. Maybe they do it at another point of time. Because after they attack Dominik Mysterio backstage, and then later on see Rhea and Dominik in the trainer's office, and the doctor says to Dominik, "Look, you're hurt. You can't compete tonight, Rhea. You're gonna have to find a new tag team partner. Or you're gonna have to do it by yourself." So Rhea's like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do." He goes out. It looks like for the majority of the match, it's gonna be a 2-on-1 handicap match. I thought, oh my god, they're gonna bring back Cain Velasquez. They're going to bring back Dominik Mysterio's godfather or something ridiculous like that. I was going, oh, God, no. But it's not the case. It's a handicap match for a long period of time, and Rey Mysterio fights valiantly. To be honest, let's talk about Rey Mysterio for a second. This is a guy that's been around a really long time at this point. I mean, he's 46 years of age, but to be honest, is young. I mean, he's only 1 year older than Bobby Lashley, by the way, guys. He's just been around forever. But the impressive thing is that he has had a lot of surgeries in his career. He's had like 1 million knee surgeries and all these different kind of injuries. And in 2014, when he left WWE, he was thought of, he hasn't got many years left just because of how many injuries he had. I mean, inside the ring, not, alive. But there was a feeling of this guy's going to retire soon. And still, these years later, he's better than ever, looks better than ever. And now he's a tag team champion with his son. It's amazing. And he worked the majority of this match. This was a 17-minute match. 17 minutes, and Rey Mysterio worked the majority of it. So he's getting just beaten the hell out of by Ziggler and Roode, but eventually manages to fight back, and then out comes Dominik Mysterio, and he's hobbling to the ring, and he's clutching his ribs, because earlier on, and I forgot to mention this, shame on me, but earlier on, when they did attack Dominik Mysterio backstage, what are they attacking with? Do they attack him with a steel chair? Do they attack him with a chain, sledgehammer, barbed wire baseball bat, tire iron, lead pipe, some of those really top-notch weapons that will hurt you? No, they attacked him with a couch. A couch that was wrapped up backstage. First of all, why is there just a wrapped up couch backstage in the Yuengling Center? I want to know what's there. It sounds like a jumble sale back there. What else did he get hit by? Some collector's editions of Action Comics. What is backstage on that? I don't know. A Lotso bear from Toy Story 3. I mean, what's going on backstage at the Yuengling Center? Anyway, he got attacked with a couch by Ziggler and Roode. And he's got injured ribs. So eventually during the match, he comes back out, he's selling the ribs. And again, it's placing the element of doubt in your mind, because you're thinking, well, I thought the Mysterios were going to win. Dominik's coming back out, but because of the injuries, I guess it's a possibility that Ziggler and Roode will beat them, because they'll pin Dominik, because they've sowed the seed of doubt that he's injured, and that allows them to take the fall. Well, it wasn't the case. Rey Mysterio hits eventually a 619 on Robert Roode in a real unique part of the ring, and Dominik Mysterio hits a frog splash, gets the victory, and they're the tag team champions. And what a moment, what a moment. I think people, ever since Dominik became a professional wrestler last year, had his match against Seth Rollins, because you realize he's been around in terms of in the ring nearly a year at this point. We're in May. He made his debut in August in terms of an active in-ring talent last year against Seth Rollins in that street fight at SummerSlam. And he's impressed everyone, amazingly, since. And a year later, they're now the tag team champions, first ever father and son duo to be tag team champions. What a moment. And now the next stage has to be Mysterios versus the Usos. That's got to be the feud, right? That's got to be the feud. Mysterios versus the Usos is going to be a lot of fun whenever they do it. So, again, right outcome. Really enjoyed the match. And to be honest, I really enjoyed the match. There was a ton of near falls. And I think as a viewer at home, you got invested because, again, going into this, we thought, well, this is predictable. This is predictable. We know where this one's going to be headed. And they played it right. They put the element of doubt in our minds. So, credit to WWE for that. And Nathan Wallace says Roman Reigns versus Kenny Omega WrestleMania 38. Not sure about that. Double H says Rollins versus Reigns next. And he says that's at SummerSlam. So let's move on. And this is the one, realistically, that everyone wants to talk about. It's the Lumberjack match. Yes, it's the Lumberjack match between Damian Priest and The Miz. This is the one that... Oh, my God. I mean, where'd you start? Where'd you start with this? The problem was... And I mentioned this coming onto the watch along tonight. But just before I went live on stream for the watch along earlier on, I saw on Twitter that there were reports. It was Sean Ross Sapp. Got to give credit to Sean Ross Sapp. And he said Damian Priest mentioned aliens and zombies for a reason. And then I saw a tweet from Batista, who said that, I'm sorry I can't be there for WrestleMania Backlash, but there's going to be some of my friends there anyway, something like that. I'm paraphrasing. And then it said #Army of the Dead. And then I put 2 and 2 together and went, wait a minute. Damian Priest said zombies on Raw. Sean Ross Sapp saying that he said that for a reason. Batista's saying a tweet saying that some of my friends are going to be there. The show is sponsored by Army of the Dead. It's a lumberjack match. Oh my God, the lumberjacks are going to be zombies. And I thought, you know what, Owen, it's late. You're being over the top. It's not, that would be stupid. Why would they do that? That would be stupid if they did that. The problem is that they did do that. And backstage before this match, the Miz and John Morrison's there, and he's going, I'm going to find the Lumberjacks. And he knocks on the door, and he goes to a random door backstage, and what does he find? He finds a gaggle. A group, a gaggle? What do you call them? Let's call them a gaggle of zombies. People dressed up as zombies, because guess what? Zombies aren't real, folks. Unfortunately, I don't watch The Walking Dead ever, and then think I flipped onto a documentary channel. I don't go, this is a weird documentary. I know it's not real, right? And that's an important point to bring forward here, is that zombies aren't real, and that we shouldn't pretend that they are, or shouldn't sound that they are. Okay, that's an important factor here. So it later comes to a point, so he comes back out and he goes to the Miz, oh, guess what? I saw some zombie lumberjacks. And Miz, it's like, get out, leave. They go to the ring, they do where their entrance is, and then where they go, where are the lumberjacks? And suddenly these zombies appear. They appear in the ThunderDome. They appear over the barricade. They appear from the entrance ramp. And then what do they start doing? Everyone starts selling it like they're real. The announcers start freaking out. Adnan Virk and Byron Saxton and Corey Graves, they start getting freaked out because a zombie appears from underneath their desk, and they run away. The talent try and run in the ring. John Morrison and The Miz and Damian Priest standing in the ring like, what the hell is going on? Suddenly, Adnan Virk gets on commentary and goes, okay, we're going to get back on commentary, guys. Don't you worry. We're going to get back on commentary. We're now in a safe position. A safe position? I was watching at home and didn't feel like I was in a safe position because I thought I was going to immediately start vomiting because it was that bad and offensive in terms of what I was watching. It was just awful. It was awful. And they were trying to sound like it's real, going, oh, what's going on? This is crazy. Oh, it's ridiculous. Oh, it's crazy. Like, the only way they could have got away with this, right? The only way they could have got away with this is that if they'd have played up that it was ridiculous and it wasn't real, they could have played up as, why have all of these actors from this film come in and why are they the lumberjacks, right? They could have done that. People would have said, well, that's corny, it's stupid promotion, but you could get away with it. But the idea that they played this up like these zombies were real, and The Miz, John Morrison, and Damian Priest had to sell that these zombies were real, and these zombies were out of control, and they were crazy, and they could eat people. Yet these crazy zombies do respect the rules of a lumberjack match, and they wouldn't get in the ring. Or at some different points, the cameraman was standing at ringside, and on camera, these cameramans are just standing there shooting us like this, and the zombies are standing next to them. Zombies aren't bothered about that. The zombies don't care about the cameramen or the cameras. They just want to eat the people in the ring, but they won't go in the ring because they respect the rules of professional wrestling. What a load of rubbish. And that's what it was. It was stupid and it was dumb. And I posted this on Twitter at the time, but like a lot of people, WWE had the nerve to tell some journalists and some people that blood and guts for AEW set the business back 30 years. It set the business back 30 years because there was too much violence. There was too much violence and too much blood. And yet you're happy with putting people on zombies on TV, pretending the zombies are real. And then, if you're pretending that they are real, you're happy to say that the zombies ate someone. That doesn't set the business back 30 years. It was ridiculous. It was stupid. It was just, it offends your intelligence as a viewer of going, why... Even as a kid, you would watch that and go, this is so stupid. This is ridiculous. Again, it's not necessarily the zombie thing that's stupid. The thing that's so stupid about it is that they tried to play up that it was real. Like, what? Again, it's stuff that wouldn't be missing in the mid or early 90s with Mantar and Bastion Booger and Repo Man and all that kind of stuff. We're going to have a zombie lumberjack match. Oh, great. It was stuff like that. And who was in charge of doing the creative of that period of time? Oh, yeah, it was Vince McMahon and Bruce Pritchard. And wouldn't you know it, it's the same people in charge today, and we're seeing the same kind of stuff. Zombie Lumberjack match. Oh, great. Where's the Something to Wrestle With episode about that? Because that would get criticised. If that was on an episode of Something to Wrestle With today, and it was in 1995, you'd have Bruce Pritchard going, well, yeah, I know it was stupid, but we wanted to do some promotion. They're doing the same thing today. It's still bad. It was never going to be good. And they want to talk about... They want to talk about the promotion for the film. Talk about negative promotion. I think anyone that was a pro wrestling fan that wanted to see it has got a really bad taste in their mouth of this now. They're going, I'm not going to watch that. I'm going to watch that film. It ruined the pay-per-view nearly. It was terrible. It was rubbish. Why would you want to see it? And then after everything like that, it's always plastered all over the screen for the rest of the pay-per-view. Watch this film. No. I saw a taster of that film. I didn't like it. It was awful. And why Batista would want to put his name to anything like that on WWE television? Surely he would know better. This is bullshit. You think Batista would have that in his matches? I don't think so. It was just absolute ludicrous. And I put it on social media of the WWE is saying that the AEW Blood and Guts match set the business back 30 years, and they're putting this on television. And then people are going, well, first of all, this is the reaction I hate of this. The reaction that people go, well, if you don't like it, don't watch. Oh, thanks for that advice. I'll switch it off. No, I pay for the WWE Network. I can watch what I like to watch, and you can like what you don't like to watch, and you can criticize what you like to what you don't like, and you can praise what you do like. That's how it works. The zombie thing was terrible. It was rubbish. You criticize it. Doesn't mean you have to stop watching. And then you get people, just these weird people that are just so staunch advocates, I don't know, for WWE, honestly, and they're like this for AEW as well, or Impact, whatever. These companies have these fans that are so diehard that just anything, they will just defend it to the end of their lives. They honestly, till they become zombies. They are zombies themselves because there is nothing going on up there. They will defend it going, well, if it was AEW, you'd be all over it. No, you wouldn't. If this was AEW and you had zombies surrounding the ring and you had people going and had people being eaten alive and trying to sell that it was real and the announcers ran away. First of all, Jim Ross ain't running away from a zombie. He'd be like, that's ridiculous. If you had that in AEW, people would call him out and say, that is BS. Why would you have that? Jim Ross isn't going to run away from a zombie in AEW. And if they did it in AEW, the zombies, people will be criticizing it on social media. But again, you would still have these people that defend AEW that go, oh no, it's great, it's entertainment, it's pro wrestling. Some of these people they can't have their precious promotion criticized. And if you're rational, if you're watching that, you would say, that is ridiculous. How on earth? I understand suspension of disbelief. I believe The Undertaker. I could get into The Undertaker character for all that years. At no point, though, I mean, I know The Undertaker did some crazy stuff. I know he tried to, sacrifice Stephanie McMahon. And even that I thought was a little bit of... But zombies eating The Miz? Or John Morrison getting dragged down to hell by some zombies? Or Damian Priest trying to run away from them? This is Damian Priest, by the way, that they're saying on social media, going, he might get a big push. What, because he defied zombies? What is his name? Negan? I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It was stupid, and it insulted the intelligence. And like I said, the way they could have got away with it, if they played up that these zombies were all BS. And they went, why are these actors here dressed as zombies promoting this film? And then they just beat the hell out of the zombies. They could have got away with it, but they didn't. They tried to play that it was real. And again, the thing that frustrates me the most is if you voice this criticism to say that's BS, you get some people going, no, it's entertainment. Or if it was AEW, you'd be all over it. No, you wouldn't. You would still say it's stupid. And when AEW have done stuff like that, myself, I've said it's stupid because it is stupid. It was just the worst. It was just the worst. And thankfully, the rest of the show was really, really good, because talk about a match that left a sour taste in the mouth. And the match lasted 7 minutes, and to be honest, this match had nothing to do with Damian Priest or The Miz. It was a 7-minute infomercial for that film, and honestly, I have no intentions of ever seeing that film. I'm a Zack Snyder fan. I like Justice League. Restore the Snyderverse. I'm all for it. But not that film. And Batista, he must be ringing up people in WWE going, I'm sorry, is that Hall of Fame induction ceremony still on? Because, that might write me out. That was awful. And it was just that kind of stuff. It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But the match itself was 7 minutes. I don't even want to talk about it. The Miz looked like he might have got injured. Damian Priest did a dive to the outside, and The Miz landed on his knee. I don't know what the situation was. He was certainly favouring it. But I suppose it doesn't matter about his knee injury because he got eaten at the end of it after the bow. And then they sold it like it was fine. And actually, the zombies that were out of control were so out of control that when we came back from commercial, they went. And Adnan Virk was fine. He wasn't eaten alive because he was broadcasting from a safe location like he was in a war zone. It was just stupid. Oh, it was stupid. It was bad. Let's just move on. I mean, and if The Miz and John Morrison are on Raw tomorrow, they're going to be in a pile of bones presenting the dirt sheet, are they? A pile of bones presenting the dirt sheet. They're going to be there. Or the zombie's going to appear again. I mean, to be honest, when I saw all those zombies on there, I thought Retribution had come back out again. It was just, it was awful. Anyway, if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Smash a like if you thought the zombies were just ridiculous. I mean, and awful. I mean, I'm glad Damian Priest won, but talk about, oh my God, it was just, it was so bad. I mean, I could go on for 15 more minutes or 20 minutes talking about how stupid and how bad that zombie stuff was. And the crazy stuff is there are people out there that go, no, it's good promotion. Do you think WWE cares? Do you think WWE cares about that? They got some money for the promotion. Oh, I mean, they should. They should. I'm sure the talent will. I mean, Damian Priest and The Miz, they're going to be doing interviews for years. Certainly the next few months going, hey, that zombie stuff. I mean, what was that about? That was zombie stuff. I mean, and they know it's bad. They did the zombie thing in, was it 2006, first episode of ECW on Sci-Fi. What better way to launch ECW on Sci-Fi and then bring out a zombie? Rest in peace, he's no longer with us, the guy that played the zombie. But they brought out the zombie. It was a bad idea then. Even the Sandman beat the hell out of him with a Singapore cane and went, this is bullshit. That's what it was. I mean, and the issue is that The Miz genuinely might have a knee injury. He was favouring his knee, which would suck if he got injured in a lumberjack match that involved freaking zombies. I mean, oh my God. And then he gets written off of TV in the best way possible. He got eaten alive. I mean, but, you know, there was a bit too much blood in the blood and guts match, so that really set the business back 30 years, as opposed to, you know, the guy that got eaten on television by cannibal zombies, I guess. I mean, just who on earth is writing this stuff? I mean, really? Bruce, you know, if Bruce is watching this, which he's not, because he's too busy writing his next amazing thing about, I don't know, Harry Potter Gryffindor on television next. It's just ridiculous. What's next? We got werewolves coming on Monday Night Raw tomorrow, by the way. I mean, we've had vampires in WWE, so it's not much of a stretch, is it, that zombies are next? That's going to run through the gambit. The really interesting new character is going to be Frankenstein coming onto WWE television. What a load of rubbish. Anyway, let's move on, because otherwise I'm going to be talking all night about just a terrible, terrible match. Anyway, next was the SmackDown Women's Championship. Now, this was a good match. This was a good match. And to be honest, you sort of sympathize with Bianca Belair and Bayley, don't you? They must be like, oh, following that. Because let's be honest, when going back to, I mean, I will move on from the Lumberjack match. I will move on. But the Lumberjack, if that was in front of a live crowd, can you imagine the reaction? Seriously, can you imagine the reaction to that? If there was a live crowd watching that Lumberjack match, I don't know what they would have done. They would have, I mean, the whole crowd, I guess, would have turned into zombies because they would have fallen asleep. It was awful. And then my point being, when it comes to Bianca Belair and Bayley, if there was a live crowd there that had been just destroyed because of this whole zombie ridiculousness, they would have been like a crowd there. How on earth do we win this crowd back? Do you know how hard we're going to work to get this crowd to come back now after you killed them, ironically, with all of these zombie stuff? I mean, it's ridiculous. Anyway, the next match was for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bianca Belair retains the SmackDown Women's Championship. Lasted 16 minutes and 5 seconds, this one. So they gave it time. They did give it time. To be honest, this match is what I think we all expected it to be. I think everyone expected Bianca Belair to retain here. So that wasn't much of a surprise. The finish did feel a little bit botched. I think a little bit botched. I mean, the whole point was that they were trying to play up around Bianca Belair's hair during the match, weren't they? And Bayley was going to try and use the hair to sort of get a cradle at the end. And it was a little bit like... for me, it looked like, I mean, I don't know, that Bayley might have actually got her shoulder up. I don't know. And I don't want to say it was a complete botched ending or anything like that, because it wasn't. And it shouldn't take away from what was a really good match. It was a really good match. And it was right that Bianca Belair was going to retain the SmackDown Women's Championship. I mean, why wouldn't she? It was her first title defense. They were hyping up that there was a first title defense, but they're trying to imply, and afterwards, Bayley sort of goes out to Michael Cole, grabs his bit of paper, starts writing on it, saying Bianca Belair cheated in her first title defense. So I wouldn't be surprised if we get Bianca Belair and Bayley to face off once more, because the idea is that Bianca Belair cheated. She used her hair to get the victory. That's the process going forward. My only concern with that would be is that if this was Bianca Belair's first Women's Championship defense, surely you want that to be completely clean, have no issues, not dominant, but certainly just a good victory for her. Why would you want to have Bianca Belair's first championship defense have controversy? I mean, she's a babyface champion. Babyface champions get more popular and continue by winning over and over and over and over and over and over again. That's what they do. That's what babyface champions do. They win. Despite all of the heels that face them, their wins aren't necessarily controversial, because babyfaces shouldn't have controversial victories, in that they could be alleged that they cheated and all this kind of stuff. So I don't know how I necessarily feel like that. Obviously, it was the right outcome for Bianca Belair to get the victory. I think it sets up Bianca Belair versus Bayley once again. Hell in the Cells next month. Does Bianca Belair and Bayley deserve to be in Hell in the Cell? I don't know. I mean, Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair's going to be the feud on Monday Night Raw. I could see that going in Hell in a Cell. Possibly I would prefer that maybe to go in Hell in a Cell, just because they do have history. They do have history from WrestleMania 36. But technically, Rhea Ripley got the victory tonight. Also, as well, Rhea Ripley was part of the triple threat match last year when Io Shirai won the NXT Women's Championship from Charlotte Flair at NXT TakeOver in Your House. So there is a lot of history there, which does fit into the Hell in a Cell narrative quite nicely. So maybe that's what they'll do there. But I think Bianca Belair versus Bayley happens again. Whether that's on SmackDown, I don't know. And eventually, we're going to get that Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks rematch. When that happens, possibly SummerSlam, I would say. It depends how long they want to keep Sasha Banks off the television. The only problem is on SmackDown, they hardly have any female wrestlers. They've got like 8. Literally, they've got like 8 female wrestlers on that show. They've got Bianca Belair, Bayley, Carmella, Tamina Snuka, they've got Natalya, they've got the Riot Squad, and they've got Sasha Banks. That is literally all they've got. They've got 8 female wrestlers on that brand. Their premiere show, their A show, they've got 8 female talents. That's not enough. That isn't enough. They need more depth on that show. It would be interesting, but I think this feud maybe does need to be stretched out. It shouldn't be a one-and-done thing. The only thing I would have said is I would have preferred a clean victory there, but you know, it is what it is. I'm not going to complain too much about it. I thought it was a good match, and they got plenty of time, and it keeps building up Bianca Belair as a credible babyface champion. So next was the WWE Championship Triple Threat match, and we still have an almighty WWE Champion, and that is Bobby Lashley. He retained the WWE Championship. If you are new to the channel, by the way, be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. We post daily videos talking about WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel, so be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. We also do pay-per-view watch-alongs for AEW, WWE, Impact Wrestling. We did an Impact Under Siege watch-along yesterday, and we do post-show reaction streams like this as well. So if you enjoy this kind of stuff, be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Smash a like on the like button as well if you enjoyed WrestleMania Backlash, or if you hated those stupid zombies, which is probably, I mean, if you want to smash a like for that, that's the thing to smash it for. It really is. Anyway, WWE Championship Triple Threat match. I spoke earlier on in the stream about how the triple threat matches of this show were really good from the Raw side of things, which is just so staggering, isn't it? Because we watch Raw every single week, and man, that show is difficult to get through. I mean, really, that show is really difficult to get through. It's 3 hours Monday night. It is so tough to watch. It is so laborious to watch. It is so recap package, recap this, really strange storytelling, bad creative, stupid stuff. And yet, the major Raw matches on this show, get rid of the zombies. Let's not talk about that ever again. But the 2 major championship matches, whether it's the Raw Women's Championship match or the WWE Championship match, absolutely delivered. I mean, absolutely delivered. This triple threat match for the WWE Championship, I don't know really what the expectations were for it going into it, to be honest. Maybe not that high. We know that Bobby Lashley's a good worker. We know that Drew McIntyre's a good worker. And to be fair, Braun Strowman, he might not be the best worker ever, but for a big guy, he's had some pretty damn good matches and if he's the big stuff, he can do very well. He works very well as a big man. And to be fair, he's very agile in certain cases for a big man. He is. So I don't really know what people's expectations were of this. Certainly the storyline heading into this was boring and nobody cared about it. But the match, I felt that it over-delivered, to be honest. I felt that it was way better than I ever thought it was going to be. And they kind of had some nice callbacks during it as well. They had a callback to Bobby Lashley and Braun Strowman a couple of years ago where Strowman and Lashley go through the set on Monday Night Raw. This time it was Drew McIntyre sends Bobby Lashley through the set at WrestleMania Backlash. And you think, right, that's Bobby Lashley out of the equation. It's just Drew McIntyre and Braun Strowman. So they're going after each other. They're doing crazy stuff. I think Braun, to be honest, had a bit of a death wish in this match. He nearly landed on his head like 3 times in one match. It was crazy. There was one where he dived off the apron onto Lashley and McIntyre, and I didn't know if he was going for a cannonball or a crossbody or something like that. Whatever it was, again, he nearly landed on his head. It looked really nasty for a second, but he was all right. And then later on, I think it was McIntyre or it might have been Lashley, does a belly-to-belly to Strowman on the outside. And again, he is like this close to landing right on his head. He really had a death wish. Anyway, on the outside of the ring, McIntyre's setting up. He's looking to go for the Claymore on Braun Strowman. And he goes for the Claymore. And again, this is how impressive Braun Strowman is, how strong he is, legitimately. Is McIntyre goes for the Claymore, but not really, because he just sort of jumps. He sort of jumps and throws himself at Braun Strowman's head. And Braun Strowman manages to catch him in a powerbomb position. Bear in mind, Drew McIntyre's like, what, 6'4", 6'5", like 250, whatever. He is a jacked up Scottish man. And Braun Strowman catches him like he's nothing, and then just power bombs him through the announce table. Really impressive spot. Was super impressive spot. And they were doing this craziness just throughout the entirety of the match. So after that power bomb, they roll back into the ring. McIntyre manages to get the advantage. Hits the Claymore on Strowman. You're thinking, right, hits the Claymore. He's going to retain the championship. Then wouldn't you know it, Bobby Lashley does the Brock Lesnar from the Royal Rumble in 2015, where Lesnar had been elbow dropped through the announce table by Seth Rollins, and we think he's out of the match. And then right at the end, he comes back, F5s. Seth Rollins gets the victory. It was kind of a similar thing here with Lashley, that we think Lashley's out of it. McIntyre hits the Claymore on Strowman, and then in comes Bobby Lashley, throws McIntyre to the outside of the ring, hits the spear on Braun Strowman, retains the WWE Championship. Again, right outcome. I think it was the predictable outcome. Doesn't mean it's a bad one. And to be honest, I felt the match, like I said, over-delivered. I felt it was far better than I think most people expected it would be. The interesting thing now is that I think every single guy in this match moves off into a different direction. I think so. Braun Strowman, I don't think he can't be involved in the WWE Championship picture now. And frankly, the only reason he was involved in this match was to take the pinfall. WWE didn't want to have Drew McIntyre having to be pinned or tapped out again. They didn't want that. They didn't want that, and they didn't have to do that. That's why Braun Strowman was involved in this match. Braun Strowman now, what does he do? Well, post-WrestleMania, he was scheduled to feud with Randy Orton. That isn't happening now because, of course, Randy Orton is teaming with Riddle in the RK Bro tag team. So I don't know what Braun Strowman does now. Maybe a feud with Sheamus, United States Championship. That could be interesting, I suppose. But it's going to be interesting to see what Braun Strowman does and reacts to this one. As far as Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley, I would hope that they go in their separate directions. But my feeling is that the reason, Hell in a Cell being moved up to June is slightly surprising considering it's usually an October pay-per-view. My feeling is that WWE might look at that and say, we didn't do the WrestleMania rematch at Backlash because we knew we were going to have Hell in a Cell in June. That's where we want to have the blow-off match of this feud. We want to have Bobby Lashley, Drew McIntyre inside Hell in a Cell. It does kind of make sense in terms of the strategy of having the first match at WrestleMania, the second kind of match at WrestleMania Backlash, and then the blow-off match at Hell in a Cell, inside Hell in a Cell. That does make sense, and frankly, I think it probably should main event that show. And that's difficult to say because Roman Reigns should be main eventing the shows at the moment because he's just on fire. Everything he does is just out of this world. But you could argue that Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, given their feud and their matches that they've had, that probably does deserve to main event at least one pay-per-view. Maybe that pay-per-view is Hell in a Cell inside Hell in a Cell. So whilst I would like to see them go their separate directions, my feeling is that we might see one more Bobby Lashley Drew McIntyre match that's inside Hell in a Cell. If not, I think we see Drew McIntyre feud with Jinder Mahal on Monday Night Raw. I think that's the plan. Just a case of when that happens, I don't know. I don't know whether that starts tomorrow or that starts after Hell in a Cell. I think that's the plan, though. That was the plan when Drew McIntyre was WWE Champion last year. They wanted to have Drew McIntyre versus Jinder Mahal. Obviously, they have the background of being in 3MB together. Real life, they are really good friends. They train together in the gym. They're very good friends. They want to work with each other. I think the fans want to see it because it's a good story. It's an easy story to buy into, isn't it? They've got very parallel careers. They were in this terrible faction. They came back. They both became WWE Champion. It's a good story. it's a good story. So I think people want to see that. It's just a case of when it happens, because I think Lashley and McIntyre, they might have one more match. I think they might have one more match. Ash Jim says, what a great night of wrestling. Have a good night, Owen. I appreciate that, Ash. If you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Smash a like on the like button as well if you did enjoy WrestleMania Backlash, because we're going to talk about finally the main event, which was really, I would probably say, the match of the show that everyone was really interested in the most, and that was Roman Reigns versus Cesaro, and as many people expected, Roman Reigns did retain the Universal Championship, defeating Cesaro by technical submission. This was the longest match on the show. It nearly went 30 minutes, lasted 27 minutes and 30 seconds. And to be honest, any description that I try and give of this match will never be able to do it justice. Really, any description I try and give will never be able to do this match justice. It really just was sensational. It really was sensational. It was a fantastic match. And Cesaro, I'm so glad for Cesaro. I really am so glad for Cesaro. This is a guy that has been with the company for a decade. He just had his first ever WrestleMania singles match. The following month, he now has his first ever World Championship match. It's in the main event of a pay-per-view. And my God, did the man deliver. He absolutely delivered. And again, I could run through all of the spots, but I'll never do it justice. There were uppercuts, sharpshooters, submissions. I don't think he did the big swing, though, which is interesting. They didn't do the big swing in this one. He did everything but, though. And what was interesting is going into it, I thought that we were going to get... once again, we were going to get the Jey Uso, Jimmy Uso kind of finish to the match, and we didn't. We didn't, which was interesting, because if you'd have watched all of the video packages and the promo packages heading into this, you would have said, well, we're going to get Jey Uso or Jimmy Uso. My prediction was that Jimmy Uso finally does fall in line, attacks Cesaro. That's how Roman Reigns wins. That wasn't the case. There wasn't really any nefarious outcomes or anything like that, which is a bit of a swerve for a Roman Reigns match, I guess. But I said this when I did my preview video talking about it, that if there ever was a match that Roman Reigns should win decisively, it should be this. I mean, Reigns should be beating Cesaro decisively. It doesn't mean they can't have a good match, and that's exactly what they did. And my thought process going into this one was, we know Cesaro's not going to win. Everyone knew Cesaro wasn't going to win this match. Let's not pretend here. Everyone knew that Reigns was going to win. The important thing and the aim of these two guys in this match was, for half a second, that's all they needed. For half a second, they needed the viewer at home to think, wait a minute, Cesaro could win here. Or maybe Cesaro will win. Maybe the reaction that he's been getting, maybe WWE have changed their mind or whatever, that maybe they're going to go, Cesaro's going to win. That's all they needed to do, and they did it. Because on a couple of occasions, whether it was submissions or whether it was roll-ups or whatever, you had you thinking for just a second, maybe Cesaro's going to win here, just a second. And eventually, Roman Reigns gets the victory. They worked on Cesaro's shoulder for the majority of the match. It really started off, and this is what I love as well. This is just real great psychology and great storytelling, is that Cesaro takes in a really innocuous bump onto the outside of the ring and kind of lands a bit awkwardly on his arm. And then that's it for the rest of the match. They told that story with Reigns slamming Cesaro's arm against the ring post and just absolutely, using submissions, Fujiwara armbar, all that kind of stuff. And then eventually Reigns locks in the guillotine. He locked it in a couple of times, but Cesaro was able to escape. And he locks in the guillotine, and the reason that Cesaro isn't able to get out of it and prise Reigns' arm off of his head, why? Because he hasn't got the function in his arm. Because they've worked on the shoulder and the arm the whole match. He doesn't have the strength to get out. That's storytelling. That is laying the foundation of a story throughout the match, building to a crescendo, and when you get to your finish makes sense because you've been building to it the entirety of the match. That is pro wrestling at its finest. And once again, I mean, first of all, huge credit to Cesaro. He absolutely stood up to the plate, and I hope we see another Cesaro-Roman Reigns match. I don't think we probably will because of the post-match angle that they did. But I absolutely loved it. Cesaro shone like a star, and Cesaro proved to everyone what all of us fans have been saying for years and years. This guy is a main eventer. Give him an opportunity, he can succeed, and he did succeed. But it takes two to tango. And once again, man, oh man, I mean, not more can be said about Roman Reigns. Since the heel turn, the presentation, the music, everything is just spot on. And the matches that this guy is putting together at this point, it really is. To be honest, it's kind of incredible. He's got his two matches against Jey Uso, which were phenomenal. He's got his matches against Kevin Owens, phenomenal. Has his match against Daniel Bryan, brilliant. Has the triple threat match at WrestleMania. It was the match of the weekend. Has his match against Daniel Bryan on SmackDown, brilliant. has his match now against Cesaro, unbelievable. And I know people can say, well, he's going up against great opponents. If you use that narrative of Roman Reigns is just going up against great opponents, you are not giving this guy the credit that he deserves. Because he is just knocking it out of the park time and time and time and time and time again, and he's just nailing it. He is just nailing it shut every single time, and it really is incredible to see. It is incredible to see. And I wrote an article for Sportskeeda a couple of weeks ago at this point saying that Roman Reigns should hold the Universal Championship until WrestleMania 38. And I know people might look at that and roll their eyes. Tell me, who can beat Roman Reigns? Who should beat Roman Reigns? Some people might say Brock Lesnar. What, you want Brock Lesnar? You want Brock Lesnar to come back and win the Universal Championship and not have it on television every single week? No, thank you. Daniel Bryan, depends if he comes back. Even so, I would still say hold the title. Hold the title until WrestleMania 38. It would be a record-breaking reign. It would be the longest reigning Universal Championship reign of all time, surpassing Brock Lesnar. And then you can actually have Reigns drop the championship in front of possibly 80, 90, 100,000 people inside AT&T Stadium. We don't know what the case will be for the capacity during that period of time, but I wouldn't have a problem with Reigns holding the title until WrestleMania 38, because if he's given these matches every single month, and if his character is changing every single month like we're seeing right now, if we're seeing month to month logical storytelling, whether it involves Jey Uso, now Jimmy Uso, Daniel Bryan comes in, Kevin Owens comes in, Cesaro comes in and out, possibly Seth Rollins as well after this match. It's real week-to-week episodic storytelling, but at its best. And it's just mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling that this is the same company that can produce just the absolute awfulness on Monday Night Raw. That is barely a pro wrestling show or barely a television show. Yet they've got this character in Roman Reigns. That's brilliant. It's genius. It's so good. His entrance music is phenomenal. His matches are phenomenal. Everything's phenomenal about the character and the presentation. And once again, Reigns has a main event pay-per-view match that is just outstanding. Absolutely brilliant. So when it comes overall to the show, and we'll touch on the post-match angle in a second, as much as I just despised the zombie BS, and it was awful, it was terrible, you have to say overall the show does get a thumbs up, because every match apart from that zombie thing was very, very good. And it did deliver. And it's just a shame because I had no doubts coming into this that the show would deliver. I had zero doubts because the WWE pay-per-views have been good for a while. But the week-to-week episodic shows on Raw and SmackDown are tough to watch. SmackDown's okay. SmackDown's a pretty decent watch. But even on those shows, some of the logic is just not there. Some of the creative just isn't there. Now, we must touch on the post-match angle. So Reigns gets the victory. Cesaro did a really nice sell job as well. That after he gets choked out with the guillotine, he then suddenly comes back conscious and tries to fight out, and he kind of realizes, oh no, I passed out. My opportunity, it slipped through my fingers, which I loved that. I thought it was really smart by Cesaro. I really enjoyed that. So he's selling that. I can't believe that. I can't believe that I passed out, all this kind of stuff. Jey Uso comes out, and he's completely subservient to Roman Reigns, of course. So he gives him the Tribal Chief necklace. He says, can I attack him? Reigns says, go ahead. I didn't need you to win this match, but do what you've got to do. So Jey Uso starts attacking. Cesaro starts beating the hell out of him, goes up to the top rope, and then Seth Rollins' music's hit. And you go, hey man, what's going on here? So Seth Rollins comes out in, by the way, the Seth Rollins suit game is just unbelievable. I mean, talk about incredible. Seth Rollins comes out, his suit game is, as always, unbelievable, absolutely incredible. He comes out, and then he has the stare-off with Roman Reigns, which I thought was interesting. For a second, I thought, are they going to turn and are they going to attack each other? I thought, is Seth Rollins going to attack Roman Reigns? Then they're facing off, and I'm thinking, oh, is this going to be a stable? And what's going on here? But no, Seth Rollins just smiles, and then he begins viciously attacking Cesaro. Of course, Cesaro defeated him at WrestleMania, defeated him on SmackDown to become number one contender for the Universal Championship. So they're continuing that. Seth Rollins beats the hell out of Cesaro, smashes his arm into the steel ring post, tries to essentially dislocate the arm and the shoulder. So we're going to get Seth Rollins versus Cesaro again. When, I don't know. One would think they have to sell the injuries. Hell in a Cell is 5 weeks away. I don't know what storyline injuries they're going to say that Cesaro has. Are they going to heal up in 5 weeks? Probably. They're kayfabe. So I would think that possibly Rollins versus Cesaro happens once again at Hell in a Cell. That's the blow-off match for their feud, and then both can move on. I think at some point, it's been teased a couple of times now, I think at some point we're getting Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns. I don't know who turns babyface. I mean, Seth Rollins just tried to pull someone's arm out of their socket tonight, so that's pretty heelish. But if they even dare try to turn Roman Reigns babyface at this point, then they are literally flushing money down the toilet, and they should send those zombies with them. But I mean, I can't see why they would turn Roman Reigns babyface now. But the way that they've had these faces off a couple of times now. They had it tonight, which was a very, very obvious tease. They had it a couple of weeks ago on SmackDown when Cesaro first came number one contender. Rollins and Reigns had a face off there. Obviously, they've got the history. So we're going towards a Rollins versus Reigns feud at some point. That to me feels like SummerSlam. Again, I don't know how they get there. Maybe. I mean, I know that Roman Reigns is all about the family and being the head of the table. Who's to say that he doesn't consider Rollins family? He calls Rollins his brother. They were brothers with the Shield, with Rollins, Ambrose, and Reigns. Maybe he brings Seth Rollins into the fold. And maybe that's how eventually they get to the thing at SummerSlam of that, yes, family could be bloodline, but it can also be in terms of friendship. Rollins is my brother too. And maybe it's a case of a bit of a 2021 version of the two-man power trip, if you will. Maybe that's what they do. So I think that's a possibility as well. I think we're going towards Rollins versus Reigns at some point. How we get there, though, that's the question. I don't know how we get there. But if they had to turn someone face, it would have to be Rollins, because you can't touch that Roman Reigns character right now. If they touch that Roman Reigns character, it's lunacy. It's lunacy why you would touch that Roman Reigns character right now. It doesn't make any sense. But overall, like I said, really thoroughly enjoyed the show, apart from the zombie thing, which I'm not going to start on it again, because if I do, I will have another meltdown. It's like 4 a.m. in the morning over here, and can you imagine me? I mean, I'll be like committed if I woke the neighbors up by screaming, "Oh, it's just stupid zombies! I just can't stand these stupid zombies. It's ridiculous." Anyway, guys, if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Smash a like on the like button if you enjoyed WrestleMania Backlash tonight. I've thoroughly enjoyed the show, apart from the zombie BS. We do post daily videos talking about all things WWE, AEW, Impact Wrestling, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. As you can see, we do live reaction streams like this to major pay-per-view events. I'm thinking of doing them for Raw and SmackDown going forward as well, doing these reaction streams. So if you do like this stuff, be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Click the notification bell. You'll be notified when I go live for these reaction streams. Also, we do watch-alongs. We did one for WrestleMania Backlash tonight. We did one for Impact Under Siege this past Saturday, and a reaction stream to that as well. So we do all this kind of stuff, and we provide daily news videos as well. So if you are new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Smash a like on the like button as well. Look, guys, it is nearly it's over 4 a.m. in the morning, so I'm going to head off. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or have you